And he went to Aston Villa for 8.5 mil. Harry de Groot, how could you betray me and go to Aston Villa? What's going on, guys? My name is Adam. I am a super swan. And welcome to episode 59 of Project Pompey. We are 10 years into the future. We are at the year 2035, and my maths have worked out. That means we are in the 2018 to 2019 season in this save. So we have caught up to current day in this save. So let's have a look and see what's happened to Portsmouth in this save 10 years on from us winning the Champions League. Let's have a look. So Portsmouth, they're second in the Premier League, so they haven't won the most latest season. There's a lot to take in on this screen. We got Owen Coyle in charge. Philippe Senderos, Fontaine and Messi is still at the club, so that fills me with confidence. So we've got a lot of players that we recognise. But I think what we'll do is we'll look at the best 11 from the season we won the Champions League, and we will see where all these players are now. So it's almost like a mirror of our last episodes. We'll go through the team and see where they are. So Petr Cech, he is still at Portsmouth, 38 years old. He's at Portsmouth in the under-23s, so he's probably going to be released at the end of the season. But if we look at his career stats, he has been with us since that first year we signed him. He's had so many appearances, clearly been a starter throughout the save. So this was our last season, so from here onwards would have been obviously what the simulation was. A very solid 7 average rating since he's been with us. Petr Cech, a servant to the club. Well done, Petr Cech. I'm glad to see you have sticked at it at Portsmouth. He does plan to retire. There we are. So he is retiring at the end of his contract. 170 caps. Petr Cech, a Portsmouth legend. Philippe Senderos also still at the club at 36 years old. Another, 6.5 mil we signed, 8 million we signed him for. And that's the season from the simulation. So he didn't get quite as many assists. So obviously change of tactics would do that. So his average rating did dip. But the fact he's still at Portsmouth 10 years on shows what a signing he was for Portsmouth. His stats have declined a bit, obviously, seeing as he's now 36 years old, but he's lasted longer in this save than he has in real life, because he's not active in real life in this year. So Philippe Senderos, 36 years old, still at Portsmouth. Another legend sticking to the club. Philippe Senderos, he has now retired as a player, but we can look through the biography and see what happened. So he joined Newcastle from Portsmouth for 14.25 mil a year after we retired from the save. So he stuck at one more year at Portsmouth before then moving on to Newcastle, then Man City, and then Benfica. So Senderos did have a couple of more clubs before he retired, but he did stay for another season at Portsmouth. Draper here, he is now a manager. He's unemployed, but he is now a manager, 36 years old. Not too bad, he's got 10s and 9s, but he's got room to improve. And if we look at his career stats, how long did he last at Portsmouth for? So he stuck it for another good 5 seasons before going to Roma for 17.75 mil, before winding down his career out in Brazil with Atletico Mineiro for 2 years. So Draper here, if we were to go on another 10 years, which we're not going to do, could become a manager in the future. We got Marcelo at left back. He is at Valencia out in Spain, so he's still there, still kicking about. So he lasted another 3 years at Pompey. He would have been a backup to Matty Taylor, or at least a rotation option for Matty Taylor, but he went to Newcastle for 23.5 mil, was a starter for them, and then went out to Spain for the tail end of his career. He's got, 31 caps for Brazil, 2 goals. He's even won a World Cup for Brazil. So Marcelo, World Cup winner, and a very solid left back. We've got Harry de Groot. He's now retired at 35. Let's have a look. So he went to Barcelona. Let's see how much did they spend for him. So he went for £21 million. I think he only lasted a couple of seasons. Went to Real Betis for a year. And he went to Aston Villa for 8.5 mil. Harry de Groot, how could you betray me and go to Aston Villa? But to be fair, he only lasted a couple of seasons there. And he retired at Benfica. But, I mean, you can pause it throughout the whole episode if you want to, just to sort of look at the honours. He's won quite a lot during his career. We've got Marek Hamsik. He is at Barcelona at 32 years old, so he's still going and a very solid player as well. So what happened with Marek Hamsik? So that's the season after. They loaned him out to Marseille halfway through the season from the looks of it. Marek Hamsik, he was a solid player. But he did stick around, so they didn't sell him straight away. So another about 3 or 4 seasons, well, 5 seasons really. And then Man United snapped him up for 26 mil. Played, well, that season there, he had 13 assists for United in that year. So a very good year for Hamsik. And now he's gone out to Barcelona to end his career. So Hamsik, a very good career for him. We've got Geoffrey Fontaine. He is still at Portsmouth. The Belgian wonder kid. He stuck it out. 148 caps, 26 goals. Look at those numbers. Very solid numbers with 52 mil. And that's the season that would have been simulated from. Never dipped below a 7.0 average rating. And look at those assist numbers. 12, 13, 13, 10, 12. Geoffrey Fontaine, our Portsmouth legend. So it's good to see a lot of these players did stick around to help develop the team and give that solid backbone to Portsmouth. We got Diego. He was only with us 1 year. He's now at Galatasaray he was at. I looked at the colours and assumed it was Roma, but clearly not. So it would have been that season onwards. So, well, look at those numbers. So since we left, he's got 15 goals, 14 goals, 16 goals, 10 goals. They must have changed his position, or he maybe needed 1 year to, blend into the team before going on an absolute riot at Portsmouth. Maybe change a formation or something, but after the 28-29, he did dip a little bit, but then he went out to Galatasaray to end his career. But Diego, a solid player for Portsmouth in the end, and did contribute to quite a lot of goals for Pompey. And now we have the 2 strikers, Luis Suarez. He's at Barcelona. That's a bit disappointing. I wanted them to hold on to Luis Suarez, but art imitates life. He is at Barcelona in 2018-2019 in real life, and he's at Barcelona in this simulation as well. So how long was he left at Portsmouth? So that's the season after ours. So he carried on goal scoring, 17 goals, 12 assists, followed by slightly less, 14 from 7. And then Barcelona spent £66 million. And look at those numbers for Barcelona. 20 goals, 26 goals, 27 goals. His latest season, 28 goals, 12 assists, 14 player of the matches. I've just gutted those numbers weren't for Barcelona. Weren't for Portsmouth, sorry. So Luis Suarez, unlucky from him. He can play on the left now as just as good as he can play up front. But Luis Suarez, man, he did turn into the player he turned into in real life. But he only won 4 Copa del Reys. He never won the league with Barcelona. Our Brazilian wonder kid, Thier Gomez, did he stay at Portsmouth? No! He went to Newcastle. So he went to Newcastle, 32 years old, 70 caps, 27 goals, not the best record internationally. But how long did they hold on to him at Portsmouth for? So that's our Champions League year. So they loaned him out. They didn't play him the year after. They loaned him out to Sao Paulo and then to Leverkusen. So he must have spent 6 months out in Brazil, 6 months out in Germany. But I think they must have seen their senses because he's now back at Portsmouth. That's really, really good. 21 goals, 10 goals, 19 goals. So he must have been a starter for Portsmouth. And then Newcastle spent £76 million to bring in Gomez to their team. He's been there for 5 years. And look at these numbers. 17, 18, 20 goals. So we did see, so he realised his wonder kid potential. 32 years old now, he's an elite striker. And yeah, we found a very special player in Altier Gomez, but again, it's just unlucky that we didn't see those numbers for him at Portsmouth. So we now look at the bench. We've got Tim Weiss. He's now at Kaiserslautern, but did he stick at Chelsea? Yeah, he did. And he was Chelsea's player for a long time, so he was their number one. So it's good to see that he did become a number one with Chelsea. And I think he's winding down his career now out in Kaiserslautern. Dimitrescu, how long did he last before he was snapped up? Well, he did stay till the 2029 season, or 28-29, so he did last about 3 to 4 seasons. And how much did they sell him on for? So he joined 13 mil, so they didn't get the release clause for him, but he went to Udinese, and then he retired. So Martin Dimitrescu, as much as he wanted to treat the club as a stepping stone, I think he found most success at Portsmouth. Kevin Nolan, captain fantastic. He did move on from Portsmouth in the 29 season, went to Man City for £10 million. He must have been getting a lot less games before he retired, but he did spend a couple of years at Wolves before ending his career. But Kevin Nolan, captain fantastic, went to City for a season, went to Wolves for a few seasons before retiring, but the majority of his career probably served as captain at Portsmouth. Lionel Messi, this is the man we want to see. Good to see he's still at Portsmouth. Good to see that he's got ridiculous attributes still, so real life is still imitating art. Let's have a look at Messi. Oh, look at these numbers from Messi. So as soon as we left, I think we must have been using him wrong. We must have been using Messi wrong, because look at these numbers. These are ridiculous. 8 average rating, so he certainly reached his potential. 16 goals, 19 goals, 13 goals, 23 goals, 15 assists, 27 and 9, 21 and 10, 27 goals, 12 assists. Messi is an absolute machine. I mean, that's no surprise. This isn't a surprise. But I think we must have played the wrong tactics while we were at Portsmouth, because, well, either that or you realise his potential, because he was only 21 when we had him. But Messi, arguably best player in the world. We'll have to have a look and see who won the Ballon d'Ors and who won Player of the Years. But Messi realised his potential. Gonzalo Higuain, he is at Juventus. Again, art imitates life. He only stayed for 2 seasons, mind. So we had him in the season we brought him in. Stayed for 1 more year before Juventus must have had a loan with an option to buy. £67 million they sold him on for. And yeah, turned into a very solid striker at Juventus. Aaron Pego, the backup left back, or right back, sorry. He's now at Real Madrid, so they've clearly seen his potential. Stayed for a good few years, so that's the year from the simulation. So he did stay for about 7-8 seasons, so he's only recently gone to Real Madrid. But Aaron Pego, still had rotation games, so I think he filled his purpose. He was always the backup to Philippe Lahm, and it looks like he did stay throughout that career, so he didn't sort of want to leave as a first choice. But Aaron Pego now at Real Madrid, I think he's probably going to be their starter. And the last player, Matej Kezma, one of the older players in the team, went to Aston Villa. Again, betrayed us, went to Aston Villa. But now, he's a director of football, I should say, but no one's yet taken the dive to try and sign him as a director of football. So that is the best 11. That's where they are now. So let's have a quick look at their team now. Let's see if there's any players we recognise in the Portsmouth team at the moment. We've got Federici. He's a regen, gotta be. Yeah, he's a regen. So anybody else? Steidel's back at Portsmouth. It's all come full circle for Steidel. He was on the transfer list when we last checked up on him. So he went up Tottenham on loan, then went to PSV. So his career massively flopped. But he came back to Portsmouth. And hopefully he's realised his potential. He's 117 after Austria. He's a solid centre-back. And he was always one that had a big potential. So it's all come full circle for Steidel. And he is now at Portsmouth in the most recent season. Nice to see him back at Pompey. Who else have we got? Fontaine still in the team. Sergio Aguero plays for Portsmouth. 31 years old. He's an attacking midfielder as opposed to a striker. 56 mil. When did we get him? So that was the season after. So 2 seasons after, we signed him for £58 million, and he has done bits at Portsmouth. Double figures, always above 12 goals is the minimum he scored. But look at those numbers, 20 goals, 13 assists. Sergio Aguero, a very important player in the Portsmouth cog in the year 2035, or actually the year 2018-19. Robert Buscelli, he was at Bayern, I think. So he must have been a youngster. Yeah, 31 years old. He's done the rounds of the big clubs from the looks of it. Yeah, he was at Bayern Munich. I remember playing against him. Went to Chelsea, went to Real Madrid, and Portsmouth spent 113 mil on Robert Buscelli. So that'll tell you what type of club Portsmouth have turned into. What a player. So anybody else we recognise? Benzia, was he the one at Man City? I remember playing against him as well. Yeah, he was the one at Man City. He developed into a fine striker. 83 mil Portsmouth spent to bring him in. And yeah, he's done bits as well. Giorgio Chiellini's at Portsmouth, 35 years old. More left back than centre back in this timeline. We got him in for 17 mil. Pretty solid centre back or left back for Portsmouth. Romario Hill, now that's a name that I recognise. We brought him in from our head of youth development, and he's an elite striker now. So it looks like he did develop, he realised his potential. So that was the year that we brought him in. So, well, that was the year of the Champions League win. We did play him in a couple of games. So it looks like we did bleed him in. And now he's a goal-scoring machine. 15 goals, 12 goals, 15 in his most recent season. So Romario Hill, England international as well, 48 goals, 55 caps. So well done, head of youth development. He certainly turned into the striker he was destined to be. So that is the Portsmouth side of the 2018-19 season in this simulation. So I think we'll now have a look and see what trophies they won over the course of the last 10 years. So I think if we look at competitions, we'll do it this way. We'll start with the Premier League. And if we look at the stages, so that's when we won it last, 24-25. So the following year, they came third. They didn't defend it 3 years in a row, as Chelsea won the league. Then they came second the season after, 89 points. Man United romped to the title. Then they came third, so they've really dropped off. They haven't won the league in a while. Then they come second to United. Oh, look at that! So in the year 28-29, the top 3 teams all had 85 points. Chelsea had 83 in third. And Portsmouth were 2 goals away from winning the Premier League. Unlucky, but look how close that is. That's incredible. Still didn't win the league in 29-30, so this is a good 5 years. They didn't win the league, but 30-31, they finally won another Premier League title. Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool were the top 4. Then they lost it again to Man United, scored 104 goals, but still couldn't win the league, 3 points behind United. But they did bounce back, so they won their second league title after we left in the 32-33 season. Then they come second, 88 points to Chelsea. And then the current season, they come second again. So in the last 10 years, they've only won 2 league titles since then. So they must have won 2 while we were in charge. And in the last 10 years, they've only won 2 other Premier League titles. But Champions League, have they won any more Champions Leagues? That's the question. So there we won it on 24-25. They weren't in the finals for the last 2 years, but they won it 3 years on the bounce. 27-28, 28-29, and 29-30. English teams seem to be dominating the appearances in the Champions League. They had a 2-year gap, but they've been runners-up for the last 2 seasons to Chelsea. So I think Chelsea have become the European force of the Champions League. But in the 10 years since we won it, us and Chelsea have dominated with 3 wins each in the last 10 years. So 3 more Champions Leagues have come to Portsmouth in the last 10 years. FA Cups, have we won any more FA Cups? So we won the one in 23-24, and then had a 2-year gap, and they've won it every other year for 6 years. and they won it again in the 33-34 season with another final appearance. So Portsmouth have been very much involved in the FA Cup silverware, and they've won it another 4 times since the 10-year gap. Carabao Cups. Have Portsmouth won any Carabao Cups? That was the one trophy we couldn't win while we were in charge. They did win it in the 26-27 season, but that's just about it really. So only the one Carabao Cup Portsmouth did win. And the Community Shield, we must have been in those quite a few times. So we won it 24-25, we won it 25-26, and then we lost it to Man United in 27, we lost it to United in 29, but then we did win it in 30 and 31, followed by winning it in the, runners-up in the 34, and we won it in 33. So we won about another, 2, 4, 5 Community Shields in the last 10 years. So we have won some silverware in the last 10 years. If I look at competitions, in fact, I'll go overview that. There we are. This is going to be the best way of looking at it. So those are the 2 league titles we won, and we've been hovering around about the Champions League places, followed by a couple more Premier League trophies. So 4 Champions Leagues we've won, all in this save. One of them obviously being ours, 3 of them in the last 10 years. 6 Premier Leagues, 2 were won before we took over, 2 won whilst we were in charge, and 2 after we left. But that is a little bit disappointing. Only 2 Premier Leagues in the last 10 years. 4 Club World Championships, so obviously we wouldn't have had a chance to play in the Club World Championship, but every time they entered it, they won it, so 4 of those. 7 FA Cups, so 2 were won before we took over. We won 1 whilst in charge, and 4 FA Cups when we left. 3 Super Cups, so by winning the Champions League, we would have entered the Super Cup. Won it 3 times in 25, 28 and 29. First Division, that would have been before we took over. The 1 Carabao Cup in 27. Community Shield, we won 1 before we took over. We won 2 whilst we were in charge. 1 whilst we were in charge. And we won the other 4 in the 10-year gap. And that's pretty much it as far as trophies go. So we have won a lot of trophies. Let's not take that away from Pompey. But I think we could have won a bit more. I think the one disappointing one was only 2 Premier Leagues in the last 10 years, 3 Champions Leagues in the last 10 years, 4 Club World Cups, 4 FA Cups. So a decent haul, but I would say a disappointing league trophy. So I think we'll have a look at managers. We'll have a look and see who's been in charge over the last 10 years. So obviously we had Super Swan. He only lasted 6 months, which we all know about if you want to go rewatch the series. And then Duper Swan took over from Super Swan, and that's where we won, 2 leagues and 3 cups. Sven-Göran Eriksson was our successor. He won no league titles, but he did win 6 cups. 3 easy ones at the start, the Community Shield, the Super Cup, and the Club World Cup. Bit of a gap before the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, but he did win 1 Champions League before leaving the role. So he didn't get sacked, he left the role. And who else to take over from Sven-Göran Eriksson than Sir Alex Ferguson? So Fergie took over at Portsmouth in the 28 season. He won 1 league and 11 cups. That's a very good rate of winning trophies. He won the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, the FA Cup, won the Champions League, won the Super Cup, won the Club World Cup again, won another Champions League, won the Community Shield, Club World Cup, Premier League. He won 2 Champions Leagues and a whole host of other trophies. So Alex Ferguson, but he was sacked though. They sacked him after 3 years. So the average, it seems to be 3 years they give you at Portsmouth before they get rid of you. Arsene Wenger was the man to succeed Alex Ferguson. He didn't do that well. Only won 1 Premier League, 1 Community Shield and an FA Cup. So only about 2 cups and a league. They sacked him after 2 years as well. And the current manager is Owen Coyle. He's only been in there for 3 days, but Owen Coyle in the year 2018-19 in this save is in charge of Portsmouth. He is going to be the man to try and get Portsmouth some more league titles and to carry on that level of success. So I wish you all the luck in the world, my friend Owen Coyle. Fingers crossed you can bring some success to Portsmouth. So I think the only other thing I want to have a look at is the icons and the legends, just to see what the club looks like. So obviously 5-star reputation now. South Coast Derby, Southampton is the derby. But Arsenal, United and Chelsea now competitive rivalries because we keep on fighting for the league title, along with Liverpool as well. So it's more of a top 5 at the moment. So we've got Portsmouth, Arsenal, United, Chelsea and Liverpool are the top 5. No Man City or Spurs in sight. But the legends are Lively Primers. Matty Taylor is a legend. He's ahead of youth development now, old Matty Taylor. So it's good to see him still in the game. Went to Charlton, I think, he went to Birmingham, then Charlton before he ended his career. But Matty Taylor still in the game. We've got Benzia, I think the man we just brought in. Duper Swan, so I am a legend at the club, along with Jimmy Dickinson, which I think he was there before the save. But you can pause it and have a look and see who the favourite personnel are, who the icons are as well. So it does look like Portsmouth have turned into a bit of a dynasty. Where are we playing? How can I look at stadiums? Let's have a look. So it does look like Portsmouth have moved out to Fratton Park, and unfortunately have not named the stadium after me. They've named it after Jimmy Dickinson, but the Jimmy Dickinson Park at Portsmouth, 58,000 all-seater, only just been built in the last couple of years, but it's a very state-of-the-art pitch, and it's good to see Portsmouth have now a stadium to match the calibre of club they are. But other than that, my friends, I think that's pretty much all I want to cover. So that is Portsmouth 10 years down the line. They've won 2 Premier Leagues, 4 Champions Leagues, so they have turned into a bit of a dynasty. But maybe they could have won a few more league titles. Who knows? But that is the end of the series, my friends. We have no more episodes planned for Portsmouth. And it's good to see, they've done well. They've done well over the last 10 years. We have brought them the success. The likes of Messi, Fontaine and Lahm staying at the club. It's been a wild ride, but Project Pompey has been completed. So this is the end of the series. Now, thank you very much for supporting me throughout the series. Leave a comment down below what you think the best moment of Project Pompey was. I think my moment was, there's a few. The rivalry with Aston Villa, how they kept screwing us over. Signing Messi was a moment as well. And I think that Champions League final has got to be up there as the top 3 moments in this save. But my friends, this is not the last you will see of Portsmouth. If you are watching this as it comes out, we will be releasing an episode on Friday. We're going to call it the Super Swan Cup, as we're going to put 2 sides together and see who will come out on top. We will be putting the Portsmouth side of Project Pompey against the Brexit manager, Champions League winners, Napoli. So 2 sides on this channel of FM19 will be going head to head, and we will be seeing who the true kings of FM19 will be this year. So it will be Portsmouth against Napoli, 2 Champions League winning sides go head to head. You've got to tune in on Friday. Well, I think it'll be Friday. If I get my maths right, it'll be Friday. Or, if you watch this in the future, you can watch it right now. Have a look on the channel. It'll be up there. So tune in to find out who the FM19 Super Swan Cup winners will be. But leave a like if you enjoy, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more Football Manager 2019 content. We upload Project Pompey, it will be Project Pompey, but we upload Football Manager every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 6 PM GMT. I will be making a new series to close out FM19, because roughly we've only got about a month and a half of FM19 before FM20 comes out. So we will be having a short-term save before going up to FM20, and all will be revealed. Hopefully you will tune in to find out. Thank you very much for watching.